little different video. Not really going to be ranking anything, but instead I'm just going to be talking about music and the effects it has on our soul. Common misconception is that music has uh, music doesn't really have effect on us as like Christians, but it does. It feeds the soul. It can reflect God's beauty, and it's not just whatever sounds good, but it can be a science, and it can also connect us with God. So, so what are the different levels of spirituality in music? Alright, so gonna go from worst to best. The worst is music that's outright satanic. Like, it's pretty obvious when you see this, like, this stuff like Chapel Rowan, although she's like kind of all over here. She's like satanic, idolatrous, degenerate, all that. But yeah, like Lil Nas X, Doja Cat, like, that doesn't need much explanation. You can pretty easily tell if something's satanic when you see it. But then the next level is a little bit more sneaky bad. It's idolatrous music. And this is like Taylor Swift. Like, the way she talks about herself and her music is very self-centered. Like, she idolizes herself, and also in other songs like Karma, for example, she idolizes like, she idolizes, Karma. And I think, hold up, I think a good line where like Christians should not listen to stuff would be like right here. But yeah, next we have degenerate music. It's pretty self-explanatory. You shouldn't be listening to music if it's talking about sinning a lot. A lot of rap falls into this, but also a lot of like alt pop, like Lana Del Rey. Next level would be, yeah, with degenerate is pretty obvious when you see it. Next level we have depressing music. Now, this is kind of tricky because the depressing music can be good spiritually, but very rarely. Like, take like, only when it's talking about like stuff that Christians should be sad about. Like, like, I think a good example of this would be like Save the Children by like Marvin Gaye, where he's talking about how, awful it is that we're leaving like a worse world for our children than we had. Like, that's something Christians should be sad about to, motivate themselves to be better. But when it's depressing music about relationships and relationships ending, usually the only time you're gonna be that depressed after a relationship ends is if you fornicated before the relationship. So even though you don't quite realize it, you're listening. It kind of blends into that degenerate music, and depressing music is kind of the effect of it. And you won't find a lot of super depressing artists that also don't talk about degeneracy. Oh yeah, I'll also have this little line. I have more feminine music and more masculine music. Guys and girls usually have different tastes, and usually when videos are on this, you see people just talking about the masculine or just talking about the feminine. So wanted to include all of it. And also, this is like Mitski, and this is Frank Ocean. Also, like, I've listened to a lot of these artists. Like, like, a lot of these I liked, and I know how hard it is giving up music that you love. But like, stuff like these, and like, but stuff like Kanye and Tyler, like, I used to love them. But I wasn't really paying attention to the effect they had on my life. And also Frank Ocean, although I listened to a lot less of him. All right, here we have neutral, um, and right here I got Jim Croce and I got Adele. I um with a Grammy album of the year um ranking I've been doing. I've actually grown to like a lot of Adele's music. Um, like with Jim Croce, a lot of his music is storytelling. So a lot of storytelling music is kind of not really bad, but also not really good. Like like when you're talking about um take take Speedball Tucker for example, it's kind of just there. Like it's a fun little story. He has a tattoo on his arm that say baby. He has another one that just say hey. Like it, it's wholesome. Like not good or bad. And also Adele, her music can get depressing, although it's I think a lot less depressing and a lot just more sad. Um, there's a key difference because sad means you're gonna move on, and and even in her breakup album 21, like she talks about like moving on towards the end of that album, just like Marvin Gaye does in Here My Dear, but he incorporates Jesus into it. But yeah, and a step up from that, we have music that teaches good values. This is kind of like um, the anti-degenerate. Um, in this music, like it not only isn't bad for you, but it influences you in a good way. Um, Stuff like this would be like Aretha Franklin. Um, a lot of her songs like promote a lot of good godly values, like respect. I love that song. And Gordon Lightfoot, he's a devout Christian, like, and and especially towards the end of his life, his faith is really strengthened, and the I guess you could say some Jim Croce songs would fall into here, but with Gordon Lightfoot, it's a little more apparent, because he because he talks about a lot of regrets that he has about sin, and regretting sin is always a good thing. Um, but a step above from here is beautiful music. Now, this is kind of a little special one because this is only this like beautiful music only works if the music also has good values. Like if the music is beautiful but also degenerate, that's really dangerous because you get trapped into thinking like degenerosity can be beautiful. But music that's just like purely beautiful, like that's really good for your soul. And for this, like I put two artists that like make music that's not in English. And for me, when I hear music that's not in English, like all I hear is the music, and like it's not pushing any degenerate message in my brain, but it's just beautiful. Um, I have Miki Matsubara. You probably know the song. It's like "Stay with Me." Yeah, I like that song. And right here I have Antonio Carlos Jobim. He's a guy I've been listening to more recently. It's like bossa nova. I've been loving that. But yeah, but a step above from here, we have godly music. Now, this is kind of like good values, except it outright talks about God. And like this is where I'd put a lot of Christian rock, a lot of Christian rap, though I'm not really too into that stuff. But yeah, and but if you want some good recommendations of good godly music that's not like Christian rock or Christian rap, there's actually a lot of stuff in the mainstream that's just older that people forget about, like Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder. Like my Stevie Wonder ranking is gonna come out next, but a lot of the stuff he has like pushes a good godly message, and the album Fulfilling His Personality is about him like reconciling with God. It's a really good album, recommended to all Christians. But also Marvin Gaye. Now Marvin Gaye is a strange one. like, because at first glance you would think he's degenerate because he talks about sex a lot, but the way he talks about sex is really beautiful, and it's not degenerate at all. Like, if you look at the timeline of his music and also when he got married, like, he only makes music about sex when he is married, um, and that's, beautiful. Like, sex is meant for marriage. Um, but even aside from that, in his magnum opus album, and probably my favorite album of all time, What's Going On, he approaches all of the hardships and, like, I guess, yeah, social injustices going on in the 70s. But he doesn't just, like, say how they're bad, but he offers, like, Jesus as a solution. And, like, there's multiple songs on that album just dedicated to God, and that's just so beautiful. And for the more feminine music, I put Lauryn Hill. With Lauryn Hill, it's a little less apparent because you kind of have to look a little deeper. But her uh, song "To Zion" is about how beautiful, how, like, um, beautiful, like, being a mother is, and, like, it's not just that, but it's talking about how, like, that's something that God planned for her. And also the last song on her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, is called "Tell Him," and at first glance it's just a love song, but if you look into the lyrics, it's talking about something deeper than just, a romantic connection, but it's talking about, like, Jesus' sacrifice. And also there's a song about sinners called "Forgive Them, Father, for they know not what they do," which is Jesus' last words. I think one of his last words. But yeah, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I'm gonna recommend that in a future video. And the best music Christians can listen to is worship music. Now, what sets this apart from godly music is that godly music, um, it's like it's the best kind of popular music there is. But what sets worship music apart is that it's music specifically designed and engineered for the purpose of, like, worshiping God. Like, back in that little chart I made about the different views between the popular and the Christian view of music. Oh, one of them is uh, music is a science, and music made by a lot of old uh, composers, especially, like, classical composers like Bach, Handel, um, Charles Wesley, like these guys, make 4-part harmonies and, like, these amazing choral pieces that are exactly like the songs described in the kingdom of God and like in Revelation. And another good resource I call it, no, I don't call it, but it's called the Genevan Psalter, and it's a collection of 4-part harmonies of, every single psalm adapted, which was made by the Reformation. Like, a lot of people dismiss listening to Christian worship music on their own because, the most popular kind today is contemporary Christian music, which I'm not too fond of. But there's whole traditions out there, and whole sciences dedicated to finding out the best way to worship God, and, like, that all Christians should listen to worship music, even if it is CCM. Like, uh, it still this is what's gonna bring you closest to God. All right, thank you for sticking with me today. Different video than usual, but take care, y'all.